All right, guys. Here's the intro to the intro, and you know we're doing something good. This is what we're all about, man. I told you this was going to happen, and it did. We have a sponsor. Yeah, we got a sponsor for the podcast, and it's none other than. And if you're not watching this, you're hearing this, you're going to know by this sound. I don't know if you can hear that. That's a metal, stainless steel, and wood. Yeah, we're talking about Badmo barrels. Badmotivatorbarrel.com. They are the sponsor of this podcast, and I'm so excited to be working with them. I love Christopher and everything that they're doing over there. They're making some amazing products, and I think you need to be into them. And if you're not, you need to get in there. But you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'm not a home brewer. I'm not a hypothetical whiskey maker. What am I going to do with a Badmo barrel? I got you. I got you. I know what you're thinking. A lot of you are just whiskey nerds, and you're like, I don't want to make it. I don't want to, like I don't really know. Well, here's the thing. Badmo uses the best products, and we've already talked about that. So I don't have to tell you about Badmo. But at the same time, they're using yard aged wood, the oldest wood they can find. They are using stainless steel. So that stainless steel is not going to rust. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to make a great product. I have used Badmo barrels. I have one sitting right behind me. It's aging some whiskey that I got from a distillery. And that's what I would ask you to do. If you're into whiskey enough, and I know you are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're into whiskey, go to a local distillery, get some of their new make, their white dog, their unaged spirit. They might have little bottles of it. Go and ask them, hey, can I get about 2 gallons? They're about 1.9 gallons. Can I get about 2 gallons of new make? You're going to have to pay for it, obviously. But at the same time, you take that home, put it in a Badmo barrel, let it sit for a year. I know it's a commitment, but at the same time, that commitment's going to pay off. And then you can say, hey, I made a whiskey blend from somebody else's whiskey, so it's totally legal. There's nothing, skirting the line there. And you're making your own stuff. But it's their stuff, but you're making it your way. You can age it as long as you want. And the cool thing about their barrels, and I'm not going to pick it up again. It doesn't matter. They have different char levels. They have different toast levels. So if you want a heavily toasted barrel, which that's where you get a lot of your tannin, a lot of your sugars and stuff like that. The longer you toast it, the more, and then the char level is going to give you the filtering that you need. So if you're doing a really thick, nasty bourbon, right, you want to have a higher char level to kind of cut back on some of that grunginess, right, to clean it up a little bit. If you're making a Tennessee whiskey, something like that, you know what I mean? It'll help charcoal filter a lot of that. Your toast is where all the flavor is. Anyway, we're not talking about how the barrel works. We're talking about what it is. And so I've heard of used bourbon barrels that they're using. They have brand new oak. They have Oregon oak. They're having wine casks that they're using, which those are really cool. Some of them are French oak. You're talking some sexy stuff. So this is just for this podcast and the people who follow the Whiskey Shaman podcast. You go to badmotivatorbarrels.com. You find your barrel that you want. You go to checkout. You put Shaman 5 in. It'll give you 5% off that barrel. Now they got tight margins. And this is a deal that is while supplies last. They are a great company to work with, but also they sell out fast. So if you want this discount code, you need to get in there and buy them now before the holiday rush gets in here. That's why we're doing this a little early. Get that holiday rush. And I know I sound like a salesman, but that's what this is about. It's about supporting local people that are doing amazing stuff. And they trust me to do that, so I'm going to prop them up as much as I can. So this is a limited time offer. Get in there. Go to badmotivatorbarrels.com. Enter coupon code Shaman5. It'll give you 5% off of that barrel. That's pretty awesome. And I cannot thank Chris at Badmo and Bad Motivator Legacy, Badmo Legacy, whatever. I cannot thank them enough for sponsoring this podcast. It's going to be an amazing ride, guys. And I really appreciate everything that they're doing and all the listeners that are listening. And yeah, I guess that's it. That's all we can say. I love everything Badmo's doing, and I know you will too. So get you a Badmo barrel. They look cool on the shelf. People are going to ask about them, be like, "What the hell's that?" Yeah, that's a Badmo, baby. Yeah, so go pick you one up. And until next time, well, also enjoy the podcast, duh. But until next time, keep your spirits up.
Hey, what's up? Sorry, I started rocking out and I forgot to turn it down. What the heck? Hey, you know where you're at. You know what we're doing. We're back, man. I'm gonna give you a little insider. Got the new mic. Yeah. Hopefully it sounds good. I'm in the shed. It's hot, man. It's like lunchtime on Sunday. Wife went to the grocery store. Doing all the Sunday things for the work week. Even though I'm recording this the day before Labor Day. Even though we don't work on Monday, I'm still on the fence if I'm going to work or not. My schedule doesn't really go for that, but my wife is yelling at me that I'm not working, so we'll see. We'll see who wins who wins that one. I'm hoping that the mic is good. I checked the numbers on it earlier. It seemed like it was doing good. I can hear it really well, and I hope you can hear it pretty good, even with a little bit of background music. Dude, I'm trying to get this stuff tight, trying to get it hemmed up for you. But here's the deal. Today, we're going to get into it pretty quick. I don't have a whole lot to say other than that. We're going to talk about infinity bottles. Yeah, I know. I've had a couple people ask me about infinity bottles and kind of like what we how they work, what we do to get one, and we're going to talk about it. It's actually pretty cool thing if you haven't done it. Hopefully by the end of this you'll be into it. And then we're also going to dip into a blending because that's part of an infinity bottle. We're not going to go too deep into blending because I am hoping to have a master blender on the show if she'll get back with me. Anyway, it makes me sad. I'm very sad about it. Anyway, no, I understand people have lives and jobs and, they can't just look at their DMs and their emails and stuff. And I get it. And maybe it's not the right time. And that's the thing. When you're doing a podcast and you're reaching out to people and you're talking to them about, hey, do you want to come on? You want to talk? I mean, I get so many people like, hey, can I do Thursday? Can I do Wednesday? Can I do, next week? Oh, that week won't work. Because, everybody has their own schedule. And I just have to be aware of that. And my schedule sometimes gets in the way as well. So it's one of those things. So where was I? Oh, we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm going to turn the music down just a little bit more. Hopefully it's not blaring in your ears, guys. And it won't be at the end. I promise I'm not going to blow you out. I just like to have a little ambiance in the beginning, a little bit of music playing so that it doesn't kind of breaks the silence. I got the AC on in the shed, loving it. It's blowing right on me. I don't think you can hear it. I did some prelim, and I don't think it's coming through. If I already said that, I'm sorry. I went to the doctor. Well, I went and got blood work done. Figure out what damn thing's attacking me, and they took so much freaking blood out of me. I can't even tell you. It was like 10 or 12 vials of blood. And I was like, oh man, that's a lot of blood. And they're like, oh, you'll be fine. I'm like, yeah, you told me not to eat, or drink coffee. You know what I mean? I'm dying over here. You vampires are sucking all my blood out. And they're like, oh, well, you probably need to go get something to eat after this. I'm like, no, you think? Oh, Lord, I'm getting lightheaded over here. But anyway, it was okay, and I go to the doctor Thursday to see what the deal is with my blood. See if we on the downhill or we coming up. But I'm also going to the other doctor, my general practitioner, on Tuesday, and we're just gonna see if there's something we can do to like knock this out, just so I can start feeling better. I mean, I'm okay, I'm not horrible, but like during the day, I'm pretty good. At night, man, it gets hard, dude. It gets really hard. Like I start coughing, I start hacking. Next thing you know, I'm snotting everywhere. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's still there, guys. So just you're gonna have to deal with it until I can't deal with it anymore, which is pretty close right now. And I'm sorry if I haven't been 100, because I'm not 100. So besides real, I'm 100% real with y'all, and I'm not gonna tell you how many takes I've had to do this little intro part because it's embarrassing. It really is. I should be a pro by now at doing these podcasts, and I suck. I literally suck. I've had to delete it like 3 times because of stupid crap. I got a boom arm for my new dynamic mic. Hopefully it sounds amazing because it was freaking expensive. Anyway, so we're going to get into the topic. But thank you all for listening and hanging in there. It's only getting better. I just did a interview with somebody that I feel like once this one drops, if you don't know about me, you gonna. It was an awesome time, and I know I said this on a couple of podcasts already. I'm really enjoying talking to like-minded people, on the interviews and stuff like that. It's going really good. I feel like the feedback from the communities is really good on it. So we're just going to go with that. I was a little disappointed with y'all. And I don't mean to say that in a rude way at all. But I had put a poll up. And I know maybe y'all don't see them. It's fine if you don't. I had put a poll up on the podcast app, both Spotify and Apple. And I was like, what would be a cool guest that I should get on? I had 0 hits on it, dude. That sucked. Hurt my heart a little bit. Not gonna lie. No, it really didn't, because I'm like, dude, I know everybody's busy. I don't look at some of that stuff either. I see that there's a new podcast on, and I click it and I listen to it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, I get it. I totally get it. But maybe I should start posting it on socials as well. And then maybe, when y'all are listening, you'll know to look down there. And now that I've told you, hopefully you'll know to look down there. I'm going to do another one in like maybe next episode or something like that. And then that way we can kind of go from there. But yeah. Work's been super busy. It's hot as hell, but it's always hot. Did a lot of jackhammering, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah. So, what else? Oh, not working Monday, right? Because it's Labor Day, supposedly, even though I'm self-employed, so I can do whatever I want, unless my wife tells me I can't do what I want. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if I'm going to work or not. I'm still not obviously 100%, so a day of rest would be great. I'm really trying not to do a whole lot on the weekends so that I can rest and recuperate and get ready for the week ahead. So yeah. Man, did I already say this? That's the thing. I've already recorded this twice, and now I'm like, I'm going back on myself. So if I have, I'll edit this part out, but which I hate doing because I hate editing and stuff like that. But anyway, as you can tell, obviously. But we officially booked our trip to Santa Fe. But it's not an issue. It's not an issue. But the issue is, it is the week after the Bastards Ball. So yeah, it's like, oh great. So I go do a whiskey event, and if y'all don't know what the Bastards Ball is, it is a event that the Whiskey Tribe puts on for their Patreon, and that's where I, as a whiskey sommelier, that is one of my duties. You kind of get voluntold to go and help out over there. So that's what I'm going to be doing, like tours of the vault and whatever they ask me to do. I'm gonna do it, and there's some really cool whiskey going on as well. There's some whiskey tubers and stuff like that as well. Hopefully it's Bourbon Night will be there, and I don't know if Aquavit, will be there, but we'll see. We'll see who else is going to show up. It's going to be fun. Last year, they had Teeling whiskey all the way from Ireland came. Yeah, it was a big deal, dude. It's not just like little Texas distilleries. We're talking huge, huge distilleries that are coming to a little place in Austin and just hanging out with us, which is super awesome. So, yeah, we got that, and then I go to Santa Fe. So one of the things I'm going to do when I go to Santa Fe, obviously you know what's in Santa Fe, Colkegan. I'm going to hit them up and see if I can't get them on a podcast. That would be cool because I want to talk to them about, what they're doing as well, and support them, like I keep talking about. So, all right, 10 minutes in, good. You got to stay hydrated, bro. It's hot. I'm sorry. I hit you. Okay. I did a little bit of research. Yeah, I do research. Did you know that? I'm not just shooting from the hip on this shit. Anyway, let's talk about infinity bottles. I don't know how long this is going to take. It might be 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Because it's really, it is what it is. So, an infinity bottle kind of came around as like a cool little niche-y thing that people can do. Like if you are developing a whiskey collection, per se, you have 5 bottles, 3 bottles, whatever, it doesn't matter. Of course, every time I'm trying to burp in the damn mic, stop. I think that's the good thing about this mic, is if you're not right in front of it, it don't catch it. So, hopefully. So an infinity bottle basically is just that. You take some of your whiskey, put it in there. However much you want, really. Like, it doesn't matter. So, here's, after doing a little Google foo, as they call it, I came up with this. Obviously, you want to start with a empty bottle, right? Find a cool bottle. You know what I mean? Like a really ornate bottle. Like the one that I like to use, and I haven't used it yet, and I'm going to, is the Hibiki Harmony, right? It's a really cool, like ornate cut glass type bottle. The only issue with it has a natural cork, and we can talk about natural cork versus synthetic cork. Obviously, the natural cork is going to deteriorate after a while, especially when you have higher proof alcohol against it. It will break down the cork, and sometimes they break off in there and stuff like that. So it's kind of a pain. I get it. It lets micro-oxidation in a little bit, so there's that. But, I mean, yeah, natural corks are just, man, they get kind of difficult, especially on older bottles. I've had many of them break off when you're trying to pull the cork, and you're like, oh, crap, here we go. And then you got to force it out of there, decant it to another bottle or something like that. Anyway, so the synthetic cork is just that. It's like a plastic rubber synthetic, which, claims can be for both of them, really. Because obviously with rubber synthetic materials, you have to think about them having petroleum or something like that in them that could possibly leach into your whiskey. That's just me being granola, whatever. It's fine. I'm not granola, but you know what I mean? Like trying not to have all the intakes of petroleum-based, stuff in my body. So you start off with a bottle, a random bottle. Take a bottle and clean it out real good. Make sure you don't have to like wash it, like with soap or nothing, because you don't want any of that soap to be left over in there. Just rinse it out real good. If there's any chunky stuff, because sometimes if you get it like a cast strength whiskey, it could have some chunky stuff at the bottom, like some barrel char and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you get that out, get it clean. I would prefer to use a synthetic cork just because you're going to be opening and closing it. Hopefully not quite a bit. You could even do a screw top. I know there's a lot of haters for screw tops out there, and I don't know why. Did you know that the Weller 12-year-old, the Weller, like the expensive bottle is a screw top. Yeah. So it's like, this is a 12-year-old highly allocated whiskey, and it's a screw top. I've got quite a few screw tops here that I'm looking at in the shed right now. The Weller Special Reserve is one of them. The 12, most of the benchmarks, which they're the the lower grade ones as well. Old Forester has a lot of screw tops. I just finished one, and it was a super good whiskey. We're gonna get to the bottling, the Infinity bottle. It's fine. We're just talking, bro. Calm down. I just finished a bottle called Ben Holiday, and they're a Missouri whiskey. And I know if you've been in the game for a minute, you know that whiskey's all over. And man, it was a bottled and bond whiskey, so minimum 4-year-old, right? It was super good. It really was. And then they just came out with soft wheat, I think is what it's called. And that's a 6-year-old bottled and bond. So that's really cool. They're doing some amazing stuff. I'd like to have them on the podcast as well, talk to them about their stuff. Anyway, back to the Infinity bottle. You start with an empty bottle, obviously. If you want something preferably with a wider neck, to where it makes it easier, or a lot of times if you get whiskey test kits, or I have a lot of those little 2-ounce sample bottles. It comes with little funnels, little plastic, or sometimes they're stainless funnels. I actually got Jesse from Stillet had for a while. He was selling flasks, and of course I'm supporting everything Jesse does. So I got a flask from him, and it came with a little funnel. Now the issue is when you put the funnel on the bottle, sometimes it'll make an airtight suction. And that's kind of a pain in the butt, because it'll hold the liquor, and then you'll spill it all over the counter or something like that. So just be careful of that. But so there's kind of 2 ways to do an Infinity bottle. You can write down what you're doing, even do a spreadsheet or whatever. If you want to super nerd out on it, you can. And you could take. Okay. Man, there's a lot here. There's a lot more here than I thought when I wrote some of this stuff down. So you can either do one of 2 things. You can take the first 2 ounces, however much you want to put in. You can start with a half a bottle already if you want. If you really love a base note of, let me find one. If you really love a base note of Elijah Craig, right? You love that base note. Start with that. And if you want to put 6 ounces, 8 ounces, that's fine. It's your whiskey, right? Do what you want with it. But at the same time, the whiskey you put in it is going to change the whiskey that's already in it. So you need to kind of, hopefully you've been learning through these podcasts, different flavors create different things. So what I would do, and I don't do this all the time. I have 2 Infinity bottles going right now. One is in a Platte Valley corn whiskey jug, and it's like the old moonshiner jug. You know what I mean? It's really cool. It's like porcelain or something like that. It might be, anyway. It's a really cool bottle. It's not fancy at all, obviously, but it does have a synthetic cork. But I was like, that's awesome. And I started with the base of the Platte Valley because it is not good whiskey. It's really not. It's really not that great. So I started with that and then added to it, and then it's kind of developed into a thing. Haven't dumped into it into a minute. I might do that tonight. Who knows? So yeah. And then the other one I kind of just poured some whiskey in it. You know what I mean? Started at 0, poured some whiskey, and went from there. A lot of people, they will take the first 2 ounces out of the bottle they get and pour it in there. Now, let me caution you to that, because you need to use a similar profile, right, on your whiskey. So if it's a bourbon, stick with bourbon, right? So if you're doing Jim Beam, Jack, Wild Turkey, even MGP bourbons, those will probably go together pretty well. But once you start sticking in even a Jack Daniels, it has a different profile. And then you get into single malt, and it's way different. And then if you throw anything with any smoke or peat or anything like that, you could do like drops. And I'm being dead serious. You could do drops, and it could change the entire profile of the whiskey. So always buyer beware of that, because you don't want it to, I'm not going to say it's going to ruin it, because you might be able to bring it back, but It's kind of hard. And that's why blending is such a big thing. It's a huge, huge thing. So, like, start with a Weller, a special reserve, if you can get it. Start with something like that, or start with Elijah Craig. Start with some of that, and then just what I would do is take some of the Elijah Craig, mix it with, have a small, like we're talking drops, sample aside from the infinity bottle, and be like, do these two go together? Do they complement each other, or do they contrast in a way to where it's like, oh, that's interesting, right? Because interesting is cool too. It might not be something you're daily sipping on, but it could be interesting as well. And then watch out for like finishing, barrels and stuff like that. Like if you have a port finished, or if you have the Angel's Envy or whatever, just watch out, because that can either overtake it or it can be drowned out. You know what I mean? I know people that do have like a high end infinity bottle where they're doing, their most expensive bottles in an infinity bottle. You can have 10 bottles if you want, depending upon how much you have. So let's go on. You add the whiskey in. You pour a small amount, a couple of ounces. Or what some people do is they will, whatever whiskey is left over. You have the dregs in the bottom. They'll just pour that in there. And they can be different types, like a Scotch, a bourbon, a rye, or any other whiskey. So over time, the bottles accumulate a blend of different whiskeys. As you add more flavor, the profile of the blend evolves. It becomes unique and ever-changing, creating that effect that reflects your personal taste. So if you're constantly at the bottle store and you're buying Maker's Mark, and you're buying all the new releases that are coming out with Maker's Mark, dude, a Maker's Mark profiled bottle would be awesome, right? Because they're all similar. They're just not the same. Because Maker's is coming out with their stave profile, package, and you can get 7 different bottles that are a little bit different, and then add a little bit of each into that bottle and make a master blend. That's super cool, man. And it's a little nerdy, but at the same time, you're still making whiskey. It's still whiskey. So here's my caution to you when you're doing that. And this comes from blending and stuff like that. There is a point of no return to where you're like, oh, this whiskey's good. This is good. My blend is going really well. I wonder, everybody's always like, I wonder what if I did this? That's why I say pull a little sample out, add it to the sample, because you can always add more. You can't take away, right? So if you're like, I wonder what this, if I threw a little bit of not a smoky, but like, something a little bit different, maybe a really heavily finished whiskey, like an Amberana finish or something like that, on top of the base that you already have, it could destroy it. And then that's all that time and energy and whiskey that you put in there that it just kind of goes meh. You know what I mean? It's not really great. So just be careful of that. I've actually done that to one bottle. It turned to crap. It fell flat, and I don't mean flat, like almost flat like a soda. Like if you ever drink a flat soda, they don't taste the same. They don't taste good. And that's what whiskey can do. You can put too much of something, and then you're like, oh, crap. Well, guess what? You can't take it out. It is what it is. Sometimes you can change it. Sometimes you can add something that's really vibrant, but it's not going to be the same. It's going to actually change it to something else, right? So you're not going to get that full profile that you had before. So, buyer beware. And this really is for the whiskey nerd out there, somebody who is diving into whiskeys and they're getting like, okay, I know this one has a big cherry note, but this one on the back end has a spiciness. So let's mix those together and see kind of what we can get from it. I do that a lot when I make a cocktail as well. Like I'll make an old fashioned. It won't just be a rye in there. I'll have a rye. I'll throw a little bit of a single malt in there. I'll even throw some corn whiskey on top of it. You know what I mean? Because, me doing what I do, I've got open bottles all the time. And I am not going to drink 800 bottles of whiskey. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that many. You know what I'm saying, though. Opened bottles, I'm not going to drink all those in a timely manner. I've got some that are creeping on 2 years old that have been open for that long, and I need to finish them. But it's like, man, I start digging on one, and I only want to drink that one. Anyway, so just beware, like when you're putting your blend together. You can be super meticulous, like I was saying, and have a spreadsheet of everything that went in there. Or you can be like, hey, this is cool, I'm going to dump it in there. Hey, this is cool, I'm going to dump it in there. You know what I mean? It doesn't really, in the end, it's your whiskey, and do whatever you want with it. But then once you get, here, let me get my notes back because I wrote this part down. Okay. You can periodically taste the contents of your affinity bottle, see how the flavors are developing. It can be a fun and educational experience. You'll notice how different whiskeys interact and change over time. I mean, I told you that. Here's a good idea. Okay? And this is me being stupid. But like if you have somebody coming over to your house, and hopefully you do, and they're like, hey, I want a whiskey. Make sure you label the infinity bottle. Because if they're going in there thinking they're going to get a Hibiki Harmony, and that's your infinity bottle, they're going to be like, whoa, this is not Hibiki Harmony, right? So just make sure you label. And then put like a date. And what I've seen a lot of people do is they will mark on the side of the glass, like start, and it starts at the bottom, obviously. But don't even taste it till a certain line, right? And that way you have enough in there and have enough of a blend to where you can actually taste it. So I say all that to say, well, we've talked about oxidation. We've talked about, all that. Does it oxidize? Because you're opening that bottle a lot. And it's starting out with a lot of headroom in the bottle. Yeah, it does. But if you're pretty, I don't want to say quick about it, but if you're pretty quick about it, don't drag out your infinity bottle for 3 years with, 3/4 of the bottle empty. Yeah, it's going to oxidize, and the whiskey could taste a little weird. But if you get on it in a couple of months, it should be fine. And you're adding higher proof and lower proof, and so you're changing the whole complexity of the whiskey. So, and minor oxidation is okay, and it's good. It's actually good for the whiskey. That's why they put them in barrels, so they can micro oxidize. Anyway, so just be aware that like you don't want to leave it forever. And then one of the cool things, that I keep telling everybody to do is share. Yeah. Some whiskey enthusiasts choose to share their infinity bottle with friends and fellow enthusiasts, creating a communal experience and discussion around the blend. Remember, infinity bottle is a personal project. There are no strict rules, and it's all about experimentation. Enjoying and creating a whiskey blend that suits your palate. Just be mindful of the types of whiskey you add, as their flavors contribute to the overall profile of the blend. It's pretty straightforward, right, guys? I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Other than, if you haven't done an infinity bottle, do one. Because they're super cool. They really are. They're, I don't know how to say it. They're fun. It's not taking the whiskey serious at all, which is awesome, right? That's what we want. That's what we want. We want to not take the whiskey serious, because once you start taking it serious, then you get a little snobby with it. And we don't want snobs, right? We want people that are doing cool stuff with whiskey. And that's kind of what an infinity bottle is. What I do is I like to have a smoky one. I like to have a Scotchy single malty one. Mixing American single malts and Scotches together. That's a lot of fun. I like to do that as well. So just kind of remember, remember what you're doing. And the more you blend it, the more you'll want to blend. And it's fun. It's fun just to blend stuff and see what it tastes like. Tastes like. One of mine that I did for a little while. And we would go over to the neighbor's house for dinner, whatever. And he had a couple whiskeys. And I felt bad bringing a whiskey over because that's like, kind of, I don't know, not rude, but like, so I was drinking his whiskey. We had Jameson. It's a solid whiskey, whatever. And then he had Johnny Walker Black. So Johnny Walker Black has a tinge of smoke. Like, we're talking the smallest amount of smoke on it. But it's a blended whiskey, so it has some grain in it. So it's a little sharp at some points. But the Jameson is a blended whiskey as well. So it has some sharpness to it as well. Like a metallic vanilla. That's what I call it. So I would mix those two together. And dude, it was super awesome. You know what I mean? It was super awesome. So just blend stuff together and see what happens. If it sucks, it sucks. That's why I say do it small at first. It might not always be a 50-50 blend, right? It might be, I need, a quarter ounce of this and 5 ounces of this or whatever. But think about the notes that are coming off the whiskey, and that's one thing about nerding out on the whiskey and sitting with a bottle, like I've said before, like sitting with that bottle and kind of like, okay, I kind of get this profile of this, and this is opening up, and I'm developing the flavor profile for this particular whiskey, and then you're like, oh, well, this one is a lot fruitier, and it has a lot darker notes, and the molasses and stuff, whereas this one is lighter and it's a lot less, it has a lot more floral notes and stuff like that. Try mixing them together and see what happens. If it sucks, you can always not mix them together. It's not that big of a deal. But if it's good, shoot, you can, I'm not saying you can repackage it and sell it. Whoa, or could you? Here's the deal. Now we're going to get into something that the music just automatically started playing out of nowhere. That's weird. I'm sorry. Now we're going to get into something that is like a split podcast. It's kind of cool. Kind of doing two things. Because really, make an infinity bottle. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Just make one. It's not that hard. If you screw it up, don't pour it out. But if you screw it up, it is what it is, bro. You mix it in a cocktail, it'll be fine. Let's talk about blending houses. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Mainly overseas. For me, overseas. Ireland, Scotland, England has some as well. But there's quite a few here in the States as well. Lost Lantern. What is the other one? There's another one. And then Crowded Barrel is doing that as well now. But the one we're going to talk about is Compass Box. Compass Box is a Scotch. They blend Scotches together and release them. Most of the time they tell you what's in it, which is really good because I want them to. Another big one is Johnny Walker, right? Johnny Walker does the same things. They get Cardew and a little bit of Caol Ila, and they mix them together, and next thing you know, there you got another totally different whiskey. And that's really cool. I mean, and it's not frowned upon because they're making. I could have swore I had my phone on airplane mode or silent mode so nobody could call me. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. I'll edit that. God dang, I gotta edit so much shit. Anyway, Compass Box. They're doing some cool stuff. Don't frown upon it. Everybody's doing it. They're being transparent about it. That's the other thing. The other really cool thing. So I didn't know this. Wow. See, I did a little Google foo on Compass, right? Because I don't know everything about everything, Compass Box is a well-known whiskey blending company. Whiskey with a Y. No E. Based in London. I didn't know that. Founded by John Glaser in 2000. So they've been around for a minute. The story of Compass Box Blending House is one of innovation and commitment to crafting exceptional blended whiskeys. John Glaser, originally from the United States, worked in the wine industry before transitioning to the world of whiskey. His goal was to challenge traditional whiskey conventions by creating blends that push the boundaries of flavor and quality. The Compass Box Blending House refers to their blending facility where they carefully select and combine various single malts and grain whiskeys to create a unique and distinct blend. Compass Box is also known for its transparency in whiskey production, openly sharing information about the components and the aging of their blends, which is somewhat unconventional in the industry. Because, I mean, you got to think about it. They don't have to, I mean, they should. It's different in other countries. Like I said, they don't have to tell you. They can just say, hey, this is a blended whiskey. They don't have to tell you where it came from. You know what I mean? They don't have to. And a lot of them don't. Because they're like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. I'm just trying to make $1. And these guys are actually trying to tell you, hey, I guarantee you, here's the deal. I guarantee you, if you had, like, let's say you're doing a Compass Box and you try it and you look at the label, or you go online and it tells you it's 21% Cardew, 14% this, 14% that, and you get all of those whiskeys, right? All the whiskeys that they have in their blend, and you blend it to their specifications, I guarantee you it's not going to be the same, right? Because they're doing this, for one, on a mass scale, like barrels and barrels of it, right? They dump it in a big vat, mix it together, call it good. But the blending part of it is a art, and you have to have the nose and the taste for it. And most of us, and I will say me included, do not have that. I know what good whiskey tastes like, and I know I'm getting to where I can pick out faults in it, you know what I mean? And like pick out like, ooh, that's a little, I got a little funky. I can pick that out, but I can, doing it on a mass scale is an art in itself. So, yeah. Yeah, okay. Man, freaking me out. So, Compass Box has gained recognition for its innovative approach to whiskey, often experimenting with different cask types and aging techniques and flavor combinations. Some of their notable releases include Hedonism, which is amazing. It's a blend of grain whiskeys, and Peat Monster, showcasing their take on peaty Scotch whiskeys. I love Peat Monster, and I love Hedonism. Hedonism is a lighter, fruitier, a lot of floral notes in it. It's really good. It's really good. And obviously, Peat Monster is peaty, obviously. But it also has a lot of honeysuckle and green apple and stuff like that in it as well. Compass Box has received numerous awards and accolades for its whiskey creation, and they continue to be celebrated by whiskey enthusiasts for their dedication to quality and creativity in the world of whiskey blending. Their commitment to transparency and pushing the boundaries of traditional whiskey blends have made them a distinct and respected player in the industry. And that's the thing. You can dance if you want to. No, you can do whatever you want with whiskey. Just be transparent about it, right? I'm going to beat you over the head with transparency. You know what I mean? I really am. But at the same time, like, why can't everybody do that? Why can't they? Because they're trying to skirt the line. They're trying to do a thing. They're acting like they're getting more money or whatever for it. They just don't think about it. I don't know what the deal is. Well, I'm not going to get on that soapbox again. I'm sorry. So if you get a chance, I know that Scotch is not for everyone. I understand that. Scotch is a flavor that some people, especially more bourbon related people, that some people don't enjoy. They don't like the maltiness. They don't like I call it the funk, right? The malt funk. They don't like that. And you get that in American single malts too. So it's not just Scotch, but it's the malt, the fermented malt or the distilled malt, however they don't like it. They more than likely, those people don't really care for beer as well. I don't know, but or they like the lightest beer they can find. You know what I mean? That basically just tastes like water. They don't like the more. I'm not even saying IPAs and stuff like that. I mean like a stout or something like that. It's which stouts to me are a lot different. Why are we talking about beer? I'm sorry. Like a amber ale, which is very note forward. It's very grainy. Most of the time, the people that don't like malt whiskeys are not going to like those malty beers either. That was the correlation. I'm sorry. I'm not a huge beer head. I like beer. I drink beer. Not, I'm not saying I'm drinking a beer right now. But I am saying that there's correlations with those, right? Barley is barley, either you distill it or you don't. That flavor is going to carry over for sure. But if you're into that profile, if you've tried a single malt and you liked it, look at getting into Compass Box. Because, again, they're doing some amazing things with blending, but they're also, like, being different. You know what I mean? They're being a little different about it. And they're not so stiff in the way that they do things. And I will say that Johnny Walker does that too. I do not care for most of the profiles of Johnny Walker. And I'll be 100 with you about it. I don't care for them because to me it's very grain forward, and I don't mean grain like the barley. I mean it's very grain whiskey forward. So it's like a brittle kind of not fully developed flavor to me. I've heard that the green and the gold Johnny Walkers, they go by colors and stuff like that. The blue is good. It's a little smokier than some of the other ones. The blue is good, but it's not like a bottle I would want to buy, right? I would drink it. I have drank it. It's okay. It's great. It's a good whiskey, but it's not like I'm not going out looking for it. I'm not searching a bottle, right? So, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, you find your profile. Now we're getting into profile. Whatever. It's fine. We're moving on. Because, really, if you think about Compass Box, they're doing some cool stuff. But it's not everybody's cup of tea. Some people don't like it, and that's fine. But they're still innovating. And that's really cool in the industry. They're taking whiskeys that they, maybe it's from a distillery that's not that popular. You know what I mean? Maybe it's from a very small distillery that doesn't produce a whole lot, and they gave them 2 barrels, and they were able to create a huge profile off of it. That's super cool. I was listening to one of my back podcasts because I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to not change. I don't want to change. I'm never going to change. But I'm trying to critique myself as I'm podcasting, right? And on one of them, I don't even remember which exact one it was, I said, that's a big deal a lot in the podcast. I'm like, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And I'm like, wow, okay, Timothy Alvarino. You know what I mean? Like, good Lord, if you know who Timothy Alvarino is, you'll know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, I'm like, okay, so I need to quit saying that. I need to quit saying awesome. I need to, there's so many things I need to work on. And, that's what this is. This is a growing experience for me and for y'all as well. But yeah, where was I? So don't be afraid to try it. Like I say, go to the bar and try it, or go to Whiskey Cake or 7 Grand and have a pour of a good Compass Box. There are some that I don't particularly care for, and that's fine. Like I say, every profile is a little bit different. And we all have our profile, and that's what's really cool. It's really cool to have that profile and be like, hey, I like this. I'm really trying to develop my profile for rye whiskey. I like rye whiskey. I have a hard time with drinking it straight, though, which is weird, right? I can and do. I really enjoy it in a cocktail, though. So it's like, man. But there are some amazing rye whiskeys out there. Some really good ones. So I'm like, I need to get more into that profile, right? And that's the thing. It's about learning, turning, and burning. No, it's about it's about learning what you like, because obviously you don't want to drink a whiskey you don't like, right? If you don't like the whiskey, don't drink it, right? Let's say you bought a bottle, and I'm not going to throw this distillery under the rug because they are doing some cool stuff. Blue Note, right? Blue Note, they're out of Tennessee. Yeah, Memphis. I did not care for their whiskey. There's no offense to them. I didn't care for it. It wasn't my profile, right? And their transparency is a little weird. Anyway, I don't care. The Blue Note Crossroad, it was not the greatest one for me. And it was finished in French oak, so I thought that it was, going to be have a little bit of a tinge of difference, but I ended up finishing it off in cocktails because it just wasn't great. But one that I really loved was the Lagavulin Offerman edition, the charred oak cast. I guess it was the newer one from last year. It's 11-year-old Lagavulin, so it has a little brinier note. And it's also like a lot of not baking spice, but like baked bread and like what is it? Like creme brulee type, but like smoky creme brulee. Like if you put a creme brulee on the barbecue pit. I know that sounds weird. It was super good, but it took me a year to finish it. You know what I mean? Not that it was bad. It just, you go through them or you don't. So I just finished off the. I don't know why I'm talking about my bottles now, but they're sitting right in front of me, so I'm going to talk about it. I just finished off the Saints Alley Special Edition Herald. It was the Armagnac and the Pinot de Chartreux cask, which is like a dessert wine, right? Just finished that one off, and man, it was so like it. Armagnac is a brandy, and the other one is a dessert wine, right? Cask. So like I got a lot of grape on it, dude. I really did. And so like it was very brandy-esque. I'm not a brandy guy. I don't know. I'm, again, like I told you the other time about wine. I'm trying to drink some wine. I'm trying to drink some of these other things because they're whiskey adjacent, and I'm trying to expand my palate and understand like these notes are because of this. I'm always going to be pro whiskey. always pro. Just because I love the profile of it. But branching out, having a good rum, having a good cognac, having a good Armagnac, super awesome. But that bottle to me was like, got super grape, not cough syrup, but more like, when you eat grapes and like you get like the grape skin in your teeth sometimes, and some people don't like that, but like it's all not a bitter, but it's like an astringency of the grape. Like that's kind of what it was. And it was super good. And I was finished that one off, and I was like, oh man. But luckily I have another one, but it's totally different. And that's the cool thing about some of these bottlings. Like it sucks because you can't buy every bottle out there. But when some of them are magical, you're like, oh crap. You know what I mean? Like I should have bought 2 bottles of that, or I need to go find another one. Well, guess what? It's a special edition. They're not doing it again. They might do it again in like 5 years, but it's probably not going to be the same. Because like we've talked about, every whiskey barrel is different. So it's going to give you a different profile on it. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Okay. So when you are, I'm going back to Infinity Bottle. Sorry. I'm trying to bring it home. We're going back to the Infinity Bottle. I'm not going to give you any recommendations because I don't know what's on your shelf at your house, right? So if you have a lot of single malts at your house, do a single malt one, obviously, because that's what you have. But to me, a blender, somebody who blends whiskey for a living, or helps in blendings and stuff like that, that is like one of those things that like I don't know how to say it. Like, it's a lost art, and I feel like we need more and more people out there doing it. Blending events, all these things. Like, people need to go to those. And if you've never been to a distillery and done a tasting at the distillery, you need to. It's super fun. It's definitely an experience, right? It's unlike buying a bottle in a store, right? It's totally different. You get to see what they do. But anyway, infinity bottle, make one, please. One other thing you can do, if it's a super light whiskey, like let's say you collect Irish whiskey. Sorry, I put my drink too far away, like I'm in a different position because I have the boom mic now, this dynamic mic. And I put my drink in the wrong spot, and so I'm having to get out of range of the mic to find it. So I gotta do a little. I don't even know if this is the final frontier where this mic is gonna land, but it's a work in progress, man. It really is. But I feel like it sounds really good to me. I don't know if it sounds good to you or not, but anyway, what was I saying? God dang it! I squirreled out, didn't I? Damn it! I'm sorry. Blending. Shit. Okay. So go blend. Get some blends on. If you have a whole bunch of single malts, make a single malt one. Oh, I remember. I'm sorry. Shit, I'm going to have to edit so much out of this one. Crap. Maybe I won't. Who knows? If you're super into like Irish whiskey or something that's really light, right? And I know Irish whiskey can get expensive, right? Unless you're getting the basic Bushmills, Powers, Jameson, all that, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with those. What I would do is, you can online and maybe even in some, like homebrew stores and stuff like that, you can get those little spiral staves. Like I've talked to y'all about the Oak and Eden, how they put a bottle finishing stave in there. Do that in your infinity bottle. That would be cool too. You totally change the whole profile of the whiskey, right? Because you're oaking it at the same time. Or I don't know if you would do a bad motivator barrel because that's like almost 2 gallons. And if you make an infinity bottle enough to fill up a bad mo barrel, whoa, bro, that's a lot of whiskey you poured in there. Calm down. You going to drink some or you're going to, pour it in a barrel. But you could get one of those little 1030 barrels. And if you don't know anything about the 1030 barrels, I think I've talked about it already before, but it's just big enough for like a bottle, right? I think it's 850 milliliters, giving a little headroom and giving a little time for evaporation and angel share and stuff like that. But what if you did an infinity bottle in there? What? That would be awesome. That really would, because it's going to change it. Like if they have all different type of profiles on their wood, and go back to the episode I did with Badmo, and we'll talk about the different profiles and stuff. If you got one that was especially an American oak, right? Like a new American oak barrel, and you started your infinity bottle in there, I would make sure you have it at least, half full, to where it is getting some extraction. And if you use like a higher proof whiskey, it doesn't have to be cast strength, but I would say over 46, you know what I mean? Because you will extract at 40. You will extract wood sugars and stuff like that at 40%. It's just very slow and it's very minor, right? You'll get a little color, but you won't get a whole lot of flavor from the wood. So if you start at like 46 and go up, maybe do a bottled and bond one. That would be awesome, man. That would be really cool. And then make your infinity bottle in that, and that way it is totally yours. It's 100% yours. Nobody can make that because it's the way you did it. And that's another cool thing about these barrels, right? These little baby barrels, what I call the baby barrels, is it totally changes everything and it makes it uniquely yours But like, you don't have to like do 53 gallons of it. You can do just a little bit, just enough to fill a bottle. So that's really cool. I might do that. It would be cool to get like some whiskeys that were kind of meh. You know what I mean? And that's not talking crap on anybody, but get some whiskeys that are kind of meh and make a blend, taste the blend, right? And be like, oh, that's okay. And maybe even save some aside, right? Save a little 2 ounce. You know, I'm all about saving the sample, right? Save a little sample and then put it in one of those 1030 barrels for 3-6 months, right? And then pull from it and do a side by side. Dude, come on. Y'all need to get up on it. Now, I will tell you this, and this is no offense to Ian over at 1030 Barrels. Those barrels are a little pricey. Not for people that are going to use them a lot, but if you're just trying to make an infinity barrel, you know what I mean? It could get a little pricey for you, right? Because they're like, don't quote me on this. I do not work for them. I don't have any, monetary gain from this. So, but they're like $40 to $50 for a 850 milliliter barrel. No, they're super cool. Look at my video. I did a full review of them. I have an Irish whiskey that I got from a local distillery that I put in one that was a French oak stave that was priorly in a wine barrel. And I got a bottle of their new make Irish whiskey and threw it in there. Well, not Irish, it's Irish type, right? Triple distilled. That'll kind of tell you the distillery. And I threw it in there, and it's been in there for like 7 months. And oh, man. Whoa, bro. It's super good. Super good. I don't know if I'm going to pull it. I want to wait till it kind of cools down a little bit and see if it wasn't like super hot or bitey or anything. I just want to see if the flavor changes just a little bit. It got a little flat at the very end when I tried it, so I don't want it to. I want to see if it'll maybe round itself out at the end. And I know that's getting very technical, and I'm sorry. But that's another thing. Like, play around with it. Don't just be stuck with what's in the bottle. Like, if you buy a bottle and you're like, hey, like I told you on some of the other episodes, like I've said on some of the other episodes, don't use my recommendations on bottles. You have to use your own diligence and your own wherewithal. Now, if you know my profile and you know what I like, and it's the same profile that you have, supposedly, then yeah, maybe, if I'd say, hey, the Lagavulin Charred Oak Cask, the 11-year-old, is super good. Maybe you'll like it too. I don't know, but don't take my word for it, like we've talked about before. So if you find a bottle and it's meh, there is things you can do to where you don't dump it. Don't ever dump a bottle, because somebody worked hard to put that whiskey in there, even if it was MGP. Somebody worked hard. You know what I mean? Somebody was pushing buttons to make that whiskey. I'm not shitting on MGP, Rosslyn Squibb. Anyway, I'm not giving them crap, because they make some good whiskey, and I've had a lot of MGP that's really nice. So, speaking of that, I am trying to get a single barrel pick. As you well know, I've probably talked about this multiple times. But it's really hard, man. It's hard these distilleries, especially the local ones, I understand whiskey is expensive, and a whole barrel of whiskey is really expensive. And the 3-tier system, oh my God, here he goes talking about the 3-tier system. No, the 3-tier system is very restrictive on us, the consumer, right? So it's really expensive. I'll just say that. So one thing you can do is you can get in a whiskey group. There's some online, there's some, that you can find, and they do single barrel picks. Now, you won't have your name on it. If you want your name on it, that's one thing. But, it's specific for that group. And I've been offered through the Barrel Outlaws, which is the group that I'm a part of. I've been offered twice now to go on a pick. But of course, it's on days that I'm like so busy I can't see straight and I can't break off. You know what I mean? So it kind of sucks. I need to go and help them, help do a pick with them or something, because I feel like it'd be super fun. But yeah, just try things. Go out there and do the thing. Like I've said a lot. So yeah, infinity bottles. They're a thing. Make it a thing in your life. It's fun. It's easy. You can make it as hard as you want, but it's pretty easy. And it makes you think about the whiskey a lot more instead of just pouring crap in there, which you can do too. But I guarantee you, like I've said in the past about distilling and about all the other things, good crap in, good crap out. Bad crap in, bad crap out. You know what I mean? So think about that. If you're pouring crap whiskey into an infinity bottle, it's going to not be good. It won't magically change just because you mix two crappy whiskeys together. I'm sorry. It's not going to change. You don't put Kessler's and, what is the other one? Kentucky Gentleman. You don't mix those two together and think you're going to get, a Pappy 23. Nope. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Okay? Anyway, I hope this was fun. I'm enjoying this. I'm hoping this mic is rocking and rolling. I'm going to have to do a lot of edit on this one. I'm sorry, guys. But we'll get there. We'll get there. And, yeah. You know where to find me. Email, Facebook, YouTube. The funny thing is, like my little Facebook group, and I call it little because it is, my little Facebook group, all the people that are joining it, not all of them, but some of the people that are joining it are vendors or like trolls. They're not really trolls. They're like, I don't know how to, I guess they're trolls. And they're like I will do a review of a whiskey like I'm going to do tonight. I haven't picked it out yet, but I'm going to do one. And they will comment on it. Hey, I have this bottle if you want it. And I'm like, bro, here's the I have the bottle in my hand. I'm literally reviewing the bottle. I'm reviewing it right now. Why would I want the bottle? I have the bottle. And then there's one, I did the review of the Oak and Eden, the one that I picked, the one that I made specifically just for me. And they're like, hey, I have 3 of these. You want one? I'm like, no, you don't. This is mine. Like, you don't have this whiskey. I'm sorry. There's no way you have this. And so it's really pretty funny. And of course, there's a couple people on the page that are like, spam, don't even do it. And then when I find them, I kick them off the thing. But it's difficult because like they like hide. And then as soon as you comment or somebody comments on it and they're like, oh, that's a cool whiskey. Oh, I have it if you want it. Oh my God, shut up. You know what I mean? And thank you all who are in like the groups and stuff like that for pointing it out to people, because that's the thing. Like, we're blowing and going and doing, trying to make content. And when people are crappy and people are doing stupid stuff, that's why there's mods, right? That's why there's moderators on pages and stuff like that, because there is people that are just there to troll, and it sucks. I don't know how we got on that tangent, but it's a real thing. And social media, and especially whiskey media, is not immune to it at all. There's people that are really crappy, and they're not using rule number 1. Right. The best whiskey is the whiskey you like to drink the way you like to drink it. Right. They're not using that. They're being snobs. They're being shitty, and that's not cool. That's not what we do. I don't care who you are. You don't do that. You don't poo-poo somebody. If you don't like it, that's fine. Keep your opinions are like you know what they're like. I'm sorry. I went off a little bit, and I'm sorry. All right, guys, here's the deal. Get an infinity bottle, blend. I've said it 12 times already in this freaking podcast, and I'm sorry, but you need to be doing it. And if you don't know about it, now you know about it. Get out there, blend some whiskey, do some cool stuff. Hey, and here's the thing. If you make an infinity bottle, that's awesome. I'm proud of you. But also, if it's something cool that you're doing, like you're adding X, Y, Z, all together, and it's something really cool, post it to me, And then I'll let all the other people that I know of, they're like, hey, they did this infinity bottle with 1, 2, and 3. Try it, see if it's good. You know what I mean? And then that gets a community going on infinity. And if you get something really cool and you want to share a sample, I'd be more than happy to taste it. I'm not above tasting your whiskey. Lord, I send out enough whiskey as it is. I'm working on a P.O. box because I've get people, wanting to send me samples of distilleries and stuff like that, wanting to send me samples and stuff. And not that I don't care if they know where I live, but at the same time, you got to protect yourself. It's very unfortunate that we have to protect ourselves these days, but you do. Like the sketchy dude with his RV, you got to protect yourself, bro. So I say all that to say I'm working on getting a P.O. box and stuff like that to where they can ship directly to me. And legality-wise, I don't know what that is. So viewer discretion advised, obviously. But I'm actually sending some samples to a YouTuber, and it's going to be super cool. I'm going to do like a blind flight with him. Look at that in the upcoming weeks. Probably by the time this episode comes out, because I have a back catalog, which is great. By the time this episode comes out, it'll probably have been out for like 2 weeks. But anyway, look out for that because it'll be super fun. And I don't do a whole lot of blinds. And I know we got to go, dude. We're over time. But I don't do a whole lot of blind tastings, and that's something else that I want to talk to y'all about. And maybe we'll do a whole nother podcast about blind tastings. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. You guys know where to find me. Hit me up if you have any questions or comments, concerns. If you hate me, that's fine. Just let me know. I really love 5-star reviews, and I love referrals. I do. This is Grifter Alley. Welcome to Grifter Alley. No, follow, like, subscribe, and everything, please. The grow is showing. No, growing is showing. No, the show is growing a little bit, and that's awesome. And it's all because of you guys out there listening and sharing this with your friends and stuff like that. And if your buddy doesn't know what a infinity bottle is, send him over here. I'll tell him. I'll ramble on for an hour, but I'll eventually get to what it is. So yeah, I appreciate all y'all, and I've said it way too many times, and I'm sorry. But this is fun for me, and I hope it's fun for y'all. And until next time, keep your spirits up. Love y'all.